most important skills for every innovator, every entrepreneur, is be able to tell their story succinctly and quickly and attract attention. In this lesson, we're going to look at two different formats that will help you get good at doing that. One of those is a 30-second speech. You've probably heard people talk about a 30-second pitch or an elevator pitch. It isn't just a cute gimmick for business school students. Our observation is that 30-second pitches are kind of like magic. Two things they have to accomplish. In the first 30 seconds, your audience has to know that this is an important idea. This opportunity is worth listening to hear about. And secondly, there's got to be some evidence that what you're bringing to that opportunity is unique and distinctive and you can win. Now, when you accomplish that, the two pieces of magic that happen is you become not only confident, but confidently competent. Because you can't get there until you've done the homework to really have a reason to be confident. And when you are, that changes the dynamic. Instead of you chasing people down to listen to you, you have people leaning in saying, I want to hear more about that. Do you have time? Can you take my card? I'd like you to call me. I want to hear about this. In fact, the cool thing about getting the 30-second speech right is that everything you're going to explain when you keep that appointment is a mechanism for validating what you said in the first place. The 30-second speech is not only magic in terms of that initial interest it creates, it in fact is the platform from which you speak in everything else you have to say. The reason that's true is what you have to validate is this really is a big deal, and there really is a case for you winning at bringing the solution. So it really doesn't matter whether you have 5 more minutes, whether you have another hour, whether you have a 50-page business plan. Everything in that follow-up communication is to make the story credible. You have to validate everything you claimed. Now, there's a range of experts in terms of give you some guidance of how to be prepared to give that high-pop speech in 30 seconds. I've learned, first of all, from Sharon Ballard, who's the author of Super Coach Entrepreneurial Training. She tells people they've got to be able to say, what's the big deal and why will you win? Pretty simple. Wendy Kennedy also coaches a lot of entrepreneurs around the world. She went so far as to trademark her slogan, which is, so what, who cares, and why you? Pretty self-explanatory. You better be able to answer those 3 questions fast. Now, Doug Hall's approach is a little bit different, but it has the same effect. He tells us that it's got to be really clear what's your product, what's the promise you're making, and what proof do you have that that promise will come true. In any case, we got to get that story out there. We got to get it out there quickly. It's got to make sense to our audience, and you've got to practice it over and over again. Now, when that is successful and you get a chance to unpack the rest of the story, people can tend to get in a lot of trouble trying to ramble for hours about all the rest of the details instead of having a very crisp logic flow that explains everything that they're going to do to make that story come true. So we've put together 5 slides that capture your logic, the logic of your story, and the assertions you're going to prove. During this course, we are going to fill out every one of these slides. So I'm not going to take you through all the content today, but just the headlines. The first slide is one that will enable you to prove very crisply that you have alignment to the market. The second one gives you a very clean way to describe the strategy, not only that you took, but the next 2 best strategies that you looked at to make sure you had the best way to tackle that problem and bring that solution to that market. The third one allows you to translate that strategy into very clear action steps that are measurable. You know what the resources are, you know the costs, you know how much time they're going to take. When we get that really clarified and all in alignment with that strategy, and it makes sense of how we're going to meet that customer need, we'll go on and put it all in dollars and cents terms, so we'll think about all the rewards and the costs of making this winning plan come true. And lastly, we're going to articulate to our audience exactly what the issues are, what are the things that could blow up in our faces, how do we know that we can manage those, what are we doing to make sure. That will pull the logic of your story together, and it actually turns out to be a great thing to have in your back pocket, so that anytime somebody says, can we talk a little more about this, you don't miss a beat. You've got every piece of what you need right there in front of you. Now, why is it so important to be ready to give your speech? Well, it all comes down to one simple observation. You're not going to succeed with your innovation by sending people a copy of your business plan. You're not going to write your way to success, but you're definitely going to have to talk your way to success. The 30-second speech is going to get the conversation started. The 5 slides usually are not what you're going to present, but they're great talking points, and they're a great tool to make sure you know you've got your logic right. The actual slide deck, which is what we'll come back to in Module 7, is going to be designed to take that logic and turn it into a story that makes perfect sense to the specific partner you're trying to get help from. When we come back next time, we're going to take this one step farther by helping you clarify exactly what your business objective is, how you're going to know you're succeeding on your way to fulfilling this need.